"I'm too educated to waste time on housework," my fiancée told me, then expected me to handle all of it once we got married. She didn't want a partner, so I let her drown in her own mess. So this happened yesterday, and I need outside perspective because I feel like I'm going crazy. My fiancée Regina and I have been together for 3 years, engaged for 8 months. We're supposed to get married next spring, and I thought we had everything figured out. I work from home as a software developer. She works in marketing at a downtown firm making decent money. Regina works long hours and has a brutal hour-plus commute each way, and since I'm home all day, it made complete sense for me to handle the domestic stuff. I don't mind it at all, honestly. I actually like having control over my space and keeping things organized the way I want them. Yesterday we were talking about our future house because we're apartment hunting for after the wedding. I mentioned how excited I was about having a bigger kitchen since I love cooking and trying new recipes. Regina was scrolling through listings on her phone, and that's when she dropped this absolute bomb on me. She looked up from her phone and said, completely matter of fact, "You know I'm not going to be doing any of that domestic stuff when we're married, right? I'm too educated and accomplished to waste my time on cooking and cleaning. That's beneath me now." I literally thought she was joking at first. I laughed and said something like, "Yeah, right, good one." But she wasn't laughing. Her face was completely serious, almost annoyed that I wasn't getting it. She kept going, explaining how she's worked too hard to build her career to spend her free time playing housewife and doing servant work. Then she told me I shouldn't expect her to cook, clean, do laundry, or handle any of the domestic drudgery just because we're married. The way she said servant work made my blood run cold. Like she was talking about something genuinely disgusting. I asked what she expected would happen if I got sick or injured, or if we had kids someday and I couldn't handle everything alone. She just waved her hand dismissively and said, "We'll figure it out," and that I was overthinking things and creating problems that don't exist. When I pressed her on it, asking what figuring it out actually meant, she got irritated and said that I should be proud to support her career by handling the simple stuff. She said this like it was obvious, and I was being dense for not understanding. I tried explaining that I wasn't asking her to do everything, just to maybe help out sometimes or at least acknowledge that these are shared responsibilities. She looked at me like I was speaking another language. "But you like doing those things," she said. "You're good at them and you enjoy organizing and cooking. Why would I interfere with something you love? Except I'd never said I loved grocery shopping or scrubbing toilets. I do them because they need doing." I kept replaying the conversation in my head all night. The more I thought about it, the more bothered I got. Not about doing housework, but about the attitude behind it. The casual dismissal. The assumption that my time and energy are less valuable than hers, like those tasks are beneath her dignity while apparently being perfectly suitable for me. I'm not some traditional guy who expects his wife to wait on him hand and foot. I believe in partnerships and equality, but partnership means partnership, right? If she's too good for basic adult responsibilities that we both benefit from, what happens when real challenges hit our marriage? Am I crazy for being bothered by this? Edit. For those asking, yes, she does expect me to continue doing everything domestic after marriage. Several people asked if she contributes financially to groceries and household expenses. She splits rent and utilities 50-50, but I pay for all groceries, cleaning supplies, household items, and basically anything domestic related because I'm the one choosing to maintain the household according to her. Update 1. Posted 2 weeks ago, so I had that conversation with Regina. Just some questions about whether this was really about partnership and mutual respect. Her reaction was enlightening. She doubled down hard, started talking about how progressive relationships work and how I was being traditional and sexist for expecting her to do women's work. She said I was weaponizing household chores to hold back her career success. She got really heated about it, pacing around our living room and lecturing me about how educated women have fought for decades to escape domestic servitude. She said I was just like every other man who wants to drag successful women back into the kitchen. That's when something clicked for me. She wasn't just avoiding chores, she was actually looking down on me for doing them. In her mind, I was the one lowering myself by maintaining our shared living space, and she was graciously allowing me to serve her while she focused on important things. When I pointed out that someone has to do these tasks and asked why my time was less valuable than hers, she said, "Because you're choosing to do work that doesn't matter. I'm building something significant." That hurt. Like, really hurt. I make good money as a software developer. I work on important projects. But apparently because I also wash dishes and fold laundry, my entire professional identity becomes irrelevant. So I decided to respect her standards completely. Sunday morning, I made myself coffee and toast and sat down with her. I said, "You're absolutely right, Regina. You're too accomplished and educated for household work." She looked pleased and a little smug until I continued. "So I'm going to make sure you never have to lower yourself to my level. From now on, I'll only handle my own domestic needs. Your stuff is all yours to manage however you see fit according to your standards." The look on her face was priceless. Complete confusion, then dawning horror as she realized what I was saying. She sputtered something about how that wasn't what she meant, that I was being ridiculous and twisting her words. I stayed calm and said I was just respecting her principles. Here's what I stopped doing for her: cooking her meals, doing her laundry, cleaning her spaces, grocery shopping for her food, toiletries, or personal items, managing any of her appointments, schedule, or personal admin. Picking up her packages, dry cleaning, or handling her errands. I still maintain the common areas because I live here too and have my own standards, but anything specifically hers, she's completely on her own. The first few days were honestly hilarious. She kept waiting for me to crack and go back to normal. Monday morning, she opened the fridge and said, "There's no yogurt," like it was my job to fix that. I said, "Oh no. You should probably get some." She just stared at me like I'd spoken in a foreign language. Tuesday, she came out of her bathroom looking annoyed and said the toilet paper was empty. I said, "That sounds frustrating. You should definitely replace it." She stood there for a full minute waiting for me to do it, then stomped off to find the spare rolls herself. By Thursday, she was getting frustrated. She asked why I was being petty and passive-aggressive instead of just acting normal. I reminded her that she's too accomplished for this stuff, so surely she wouldn't want me to insult her by doing it. The breaking point was Sunday, exactly 1 week after my new approach started. She'd been wearing the same work blouse 3 days in a row because she hadn't done laundry and was running out of clean clothes. Her bathroom looked like a disaster zone. She'd been living off takeout, granola bars, and whatever random food she could grab at the corner store because she refused to grocery shop or cook. She had a complete meltdown, started crying and screaming about how I was punishing her and being manipulative. She said I was making her life deliberately difficult, that couples are supposed to help each other. I pointed out that she'd explicitly said she wouldn't be helping me with domestic stuff after marriage, so I was just giving us both practice for our future dynamic. That's when she said something that really showed her true colors. "It's different. You're supposed to take care of me. That's what men do." There it was. Not we take care of each other. Not partnerships require compromise. I'm supposed to take care of her. Like she's my child or my employer. I asked her to explain how that was different from what she'd criticized as traditional gender roles, and she couldn't give me a coherent answer. We didn't talk for the rest of the day. She slept on the couch and left for work this morning without saying goodbye. When she got home tonight, she tried to act like nothing had happened, but I could see her looking around the apartment, taking inventory of all the things that weren't getting done for her anymore. I'm honestly seeing our whole relationship differently now. So many little things make sense. How she expects me to handle anything inconvenient. How she dismisses my work stress because I'm just at home. How she talks about our future like I'll be managing everything while she focuses on her career advancement. How she's never once offered to help when I'm obviously overwhelmed or stressed about deadlines. Part of me feels bad because she's clearly struggling with this new reality. But another part of me thinks, shouldn't a successful, educated, accomplished woman be able to wash her own clothes and feed herself? Isn't that what being an independent adult means? You guys were right. This was never about the housework. It was about respect, expectations, and her fundamental belief that she's better than me. Edit. Yes, I'm still sleeping in our bed. She moved to the couch on her own. Honestly, I'm curious to see how long she'll stick to her principles when they actually inconvenience her. For those asking about the ring and wedding planning, she's still wearing the ring and hasn't mentioned calling anything off. I think she's waiting for me to fold and go back to being her personal assistant. The wedding planning has basically stopped though, which honestly is a relief since I was doing most of that too. PDATE2 posted 1 week ago. It's been a week since my last update and things have escalated way beyond anything I expected. First, the family dinner. Regina's parents invited us over this past Sunday for dinner with her brother Mark and his wife Sarah. Regina was stressed about it all week because she'd been living off takeout and energy bars for 3 weeks now. Her clothes situation was getting desperate. She finally broke down and did 1 load of laundry on Saturday night, and she looked exhausted and frazzled. The thing is, Regina's family is pretty traditional despite being successful professionals. Her mom is a pediatrician, her dad is a corporate lawyer, and they've been married for 30 years with a very classic division of labor. Regina's mom does most of the cooking and household management even though she works full-time, which has always bothered Regina. At dinner, her mom was setting out this elaborate spread she'd clearly spent hours preparing, and she made some comment about how excited she was that Regina found such a good provider, and how nice it must be to have someone who takes care of everything at home so you can focus on your career. Regina's face went bright red. You could see her trying to figure out how to respond without admitting that she'd been failing at basic adulting for 3 weeks. Her brother Mark started talking about how he and Sarah manage their household. They both work demanding jobs but split cooking, cleaning, grocery shopping, all of it. Sarah jumped in talking about how they meal prep together on Sundays and how Mark does his own laundry. That's when Regina completely snapped. She went off about how she's too successful to be doing maid work and how educated women shouldn't have to lower themselves to domestic labor. She said she didn't spend years getting her master's degree just to waste her potential scrubbing toilets. The table went dead silent. Her dad looked confused and asked what she meant exactly. So Regina explained in great detail how she'd told me she wouldn't be doing housework after marriage because it's beneath her station. Her own mother looked mortified. Her dad actually said, "Regina, honey, those aren't values we taught you. Your mother has 2 degrees and runs a medical practice, but she still contributes to our household." Her mom asked if I was okay with doing everything forever, and Regina said of course I was because he likes that stuff and he's good at it. She said it like it was obvious and they were being weird for questioning it. That's when I spoke up. I calmly explained that I'd been doing the housework because I work from home and didn't mind contributing that way, but that Regina had specifically told me she was too good for domestic work, so I decided to respect her standards and only handle my own needs now. The silence that followed was deafening. Sarah asked how Regina was managing her own basic needs then, and Regina's response was telling. He's being petty and trying to manipulate me into being his servant. Her brother Mark straight up asked her, "So you expect him to be your personal servant while you contribute nothing to your shared household?" Regina lost it. Started screaming about how they didn't understand modern relationships and how they were all stuck in traditional mindsets that hold women back. She accused her entire family of not supporting her achievements and said they were all jealous of her success. Mark pointed out that everyone at the table was successful but still managed to function as adults. We left early. Regina didn't speak to me the entire drive home, just stared out the window looking furious. When we got back to the apartment, she immediately called her friend Jessica to vent about how unsupportive her family was being. But here's where it gets really intense. Yesterday, Tuesday, I came home from a meeting with a client to find Regina in our bedroom with Jessica, going through our finances on her laptop. They'd somehow accessed the spreadsheet where I track all our expenses, bills, and contributions. When they saw me in the doorway, Regina slammed the laptop shut, but I'd heard enough. I asked what was going on, and Regina said they were reviewing our partnership contributions, because she wanted to prove that housework isn't the only way to contribute to a relationship. Apparently, Jessica had been telling Regina that I was financially abusing her by forcing her to choose between housework and money. Jessica had convinced her that my new boundaries were actually manipulation and control tactics. But when they actually looked at the numbers, the reality was pretty different from Regina's version of events. It turns out I pay for about 70% of our shared expenses, plus I'd been buying all groceries, household supplies, and even Regina's personal stuff like shampoo, skincare, vitamins, and random things she needed. Regina pays her portion of rent and utilities, and that's basically it. Jessica looked uncomfortable and said she had to leave. But not before I heard her whisper to Regina, "Girl, you've been getting a really good deal here." Like a really good deal. After Jessica left, Regina tried to act like the financial review hadn't happened, but I could see her wheels turning. She'd been telling everyone that I was being controlling and manipulative, but the numbers showed that I was actually subsidizing her entire lifestyle while also doing all the domestic work. That night, Regina finally had a complete breakdown. She admitted that she thought being successful meant other people would handle the lesser parts of life for her. She said her college friends all had boyfriends who took care of everything, and she assumed that's how it worked when you dated someone stable. Here's the kicker. She said she'd been telling her work friends that I was basically her house husband, and that she was the primary breadwinner supporting both of us. When I showed her our actual financial contributions side by side, she got defensive and said my job doesn't count the same way because I work from home and have flexible hours. I asked her directly, "Do you see me as your equal partner or as your employee?" She couldn't answer, just sat there opening and closing her mouth like a fish. Then I asked, "Do you think my time, energy, and money are worth less than yours?" Again, no answer. Finally, I said, "Do you love me or do you love what I do for you?" She started crying and said that wasn't fair, that I was attacking her when she was just trying to be successful. But she still couldn't answer the question. We haven't talked much since then. She's been staying late at work every night and sleeping on the couch when she gets home. I think she's embarrassed about the family dinner and what Jessica saw in our finances. But mostly, I think she's realizing that her worldview doesn't hold up to scrutiny. I've been thinking about calling my cousin Dave, he's a family lawyer, just to understand what getting out of this engagement would look like legally and financially. The wedding's still 4 months away, but I'm not sure there's going to be a wedding. I love Regina, or at least I love who I thought she was. But I'm starting to realize that the person I fell in love with might not actually exist. The real Regina apparently thinks she's entitled to a live-in servant who also pays most of the bills and asks for nothing in return. How did I not see this for 3 years? Edit. Yes, I changed the passwords on our financial accounts after finding them snooping. She has her own bank accounts and access to everything she needs for her personal expenses, but our shared planning documents are now view only for her. To those asking about the ring, it was my grandmother's ring, so yeah, I'll be getting it back if this goes where I think it's going. It means too much to my family to leave it with someone who doesn't value partnership. Final update. Posted 3 days ago. Well, Reddit, the saga has reached its conclusion. Regina came home Thursday night around 9 p.m. and found me in the kitchen meal prepping for the week. Just for myself, like I've been doing for a month now. I could feel her staring, but I didn't acknowledge her. I just kept working, cleaning as I went, wiping down counters, putting dishes in the dishwasher. When I finished, I grabbed a beer and sat down at the kitchen table to plan my grocery list for the weekend. That's when something in her just broke. She started crying, not angry crying, but this desperate panic sobbing. She said, "This isn't how relationships are supposed to work. You're supposed to take care of me. Partners are supposed to take care of each other." I said, "I was taking care of you, Regina. For 3 years I handled everything you didn't want to deal with. I cooked your meals, cleaned your spaces, managed your schedule, paid for your stuff. But then you told me it was all beneath you, so I stopped." She said I was twisting her words and that she never meant I should stop doing things for her, just that she wouldn't do them herself because she had more important things to focus on. When I pointed out how that sounded, that she expected me to serve her while contributing nothing domestic herself, she got angry and said I was trying to make her look bad. I stayed calm and said, "I'm not trying to make you look like anything. I'm just asking what you think a fair partnership looks like." She couldn't explain it. She kept circling back to how she was building her career and shouldn't have to waste time on mundane tasks when she could be focusing on success. Then came the ultimatum. She stopped crying, stood up straight and said, "I can't marry someone this selfish and petty. I need a partner who supports my ambitions, not someone who sabotages them with ridiculous power games." I looked at her, this person I'd loved for 3 years, this woman I'd planned to marry, and realized I felt relieved. She was finally saying out loud what this had always been about. I said, "Okay, I guess we shouldn't get married then." Her face went through about 5 different expressions in 2 seconds. She clearly thought this ultimatum would make me panic and beg her to stay, promise to go back to being her personal assistant and financial support system. So, when things didn't go her way, she completely lost it. She started screaming about how I never really loved her, how I was abandoning her over housework, that I'd never actually supported her success. I was just like every other man who gets threatened when women achieve things. Called me selfish, said I was going to regret this when I realized what I was giving up. I didn't argue. There was no point. She couldn't see that asking for basic partnership wasn't punishment, and I was tired of explaining it. She moved out yesterday, spent Friday packing her stuff while I was at a client meeting, took her clothes, her books, her personal things. Left the ring on the kitchen counter next to a note that said, "I hope you're happy," like I was the villain in this story. Her mom texted me later that day saying she was sorry things ended this way, and that she hoped I'd find someone who appreciated what I brought to a relationship. Her dad called me this morning just to say I'd handled everything with class, and that they still considered me family. Her brother Mark sent a message saying, "You dodged a bullet, man. Sarah and I both saw this coming." That support meant more than I can express. As for Regina, I heard through Mark that she's staying with Jessica and telling everyone that I showed my true colors by refusing to support her career. Apparently, the story she's telling is that I'm a financial abuser who manipulated her into thinking she had to choose between success and housework, and then abandoned her when she tried to set boundaries. She's completely rewritten history to make herself the victim of my unreasonable expectations. But honestly, I don't care anymore. I'm doing great, by the way. The apartment feels peaceful for the first time in months. I'm cooking what I want when I want. My laundry routine is simple again. I'm not managing anyone else's schedule or needs or artificial crises. Most importantly, I'm not constantly questioning my own worth or wondering why my time and energy seem to matter less than someone else's. The ring is going back to my family safe. Maybe someday I'll give it to someone who actually wants to build a life with me, not have me build a life for them. Edit: the wedding venue and vendors have all been canceled. Most deposits were non-refundable, but honestly, it's worth every penny to not be married to someone who sees me as the help,